Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Life.
It's called Behind the Scenes at I9.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Wrong podcast.
Yeah, like life.
Let's try this once again. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Behind the Scenes at Inspiration
Try
9.
this once again. That's so funny.
All right, we are on the right podcast. We are episode 9, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I put episode 8, so you'll have to fix that.
I'll fix that.
Okay.
It's fine.
You fix the things.
They won't even notice.
Yeah.
Well,
That's right.
nonetheless, we are here. What's on our agenda today?
Well, Pastor Sherry had a cool idea.
Donuts.
And then I had a cool idea. Oh, yeah, and donuts. I made a comment yesterday, and I said, you know what we should do is, normally when we film, it's like the first thing in our day. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what we should do is, I should swing by and get some donuts so that we can munch on donuts while we're filming. And Pastor Sherry can't have donuts. So she's like, well, that would be nice if everyone could have donuts. And I said, well, Pastor Brian and I can eat donuts. Mm-hmm. And here we are.
So we're going to eat donuts.
Majority
and
rules.
Pastor Sherry is not, and she's going to be bitter about that.
But this wasn't my idea. Pastor Sherry ended up getting these, so she's so selfless.
I did buy
cutesy, so mindful.
We were actually in Tim Hortons this morning, inside Tim Hortons, and then we left Tim Hortons and had to go through the drive-thru to buy the donuts.
Mm-hmm. And that's a big deal for Pastor Brian.
Mm-hmm. Now, I will say, by the way, though, that I like donuts.
Yeah,
yes,
does.
and they had Long Johns.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. See,
I don't
this
understand
is like
the white
a very
Wait.
special
Wait, are you going to eat?
Long John donut.
Are we not allowed to? Are they just supposed to look at them?
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm not going to eat that
for-
one because it leaves a residue in my mouth.
They are for decoration.
For decoration only, apparently.
All right.
But, I don't know if people out there, you guys really like donuts.
You can eat them,
I was
just
really
don't eat them
expecting
in the
to eat a
microphone.
donut. You're going to put a donut in front of me? I can't eat it.
Just don't eat it in front of the microphone.
No, I don't know how
ASMR.
possible that is going to be.
Is there filling in these?
Nope.
They're just...
They're just Long Johns.
They're just called Long Johns. And it's something that they used to have fairly regularly, and then they kind of disappeared making them, and now they started making them again.
So listen, way back in the
I just don't
day.
understand why they don't take advantage of doing a filling inside of them.
Ew, that's why.
Like a Boston cream situation.
No, Long Johns.
Long John
Just-
Silvers. So let's see why are they called Long Johns?
So what was back in...
I don't know, but back in the day.
They're Long John.
Talk amongst yourselves.
So back in the day, after church, we used to, as congregants, we would, after church, get up and go down the street to country style donuts.
I love country style.
And then eventually Tim Hortons bought out country style.
Ooh.
But I missed those days sitting on the brown stools at the counter and the donuts. Like, it was just the greatest ever.
They have a country style at Sault Ste. Marie still. And it's right in the corner by where my parents live.
Wow.
And my mom likes her tea. And my dad likes coffee.
Yeah.
But if it was ever a rare day where my mom was at work or something, my dad and I would go to country style because the coffee is so much better at country style.
Yeah. I wouldn't know because I was still young.
I did not really grow up in a household that was like regularly, frequently in Country Time or Tim Hortons or Starbucks or any of those things.
Every Sunday.
Do you want to know why their donuts are called Long Johns?
Why?
Oh, wait.
Do you know?
Well, I thought it was
Because they're elongated.
There's
That's the basic reason. They're not a circular donut. They're elongated.
Because
It's
there was this
used-
man named John.
Well, so I typed in why is it called Long Johns, and it said it was named after the boxer John blah 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 blah.
Long John Silver?
His nickname was Long Legs, but that was about the underwear Long Johns, not about the donut. So they say that the term Long John donuts is only used in the Midwest and in Canada. Anyway.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
It's
little
like
things
coney
like
dogs.
that.
Do you know what a coney dog is?
Yeah.
So I was talking to my ex-roommate about it, and she had only ever heard of the term because she's not from Windsor originally. She's from like Ottawa area.
Okay.
So she had never even
Oakland?
heard of the term Coney dog.
Yeah.
Coney Island.
I mean, if you're in Michigan, yeah, there's like Coney Islands everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah. It's a hot
what
dog
did she
with
know?
chili and cheese on it.
But what did she call it?
She didn't. She just called it a chili dog.
Oh.
Oh. It's kind of like that's actually something unique to our area too. For instance, is what are those fries called with gravy and cheese on
Poutine.
them?
Oh my goodness, I'm
poutine.
so
Poutine.
hungry right now.
So,
I don't like gravy.
But we were in Michigan, was it a week ago? And you were like, we were at Costco, and Costco makes the best poutines, which I absolutely do not
In
like
Canada.
poutines. But you like poutines.
Love poutine.
And she's just like, I could just totally go for a poutine right now. And all of a sudden she's like, oh wait, we're in Michigan. They don't have poutine over here.
Yeah, they don't believe in it. They
And
don't
so
understand.
so
criminal.
geographically, it is
Yes.
so interesting, right? How there's certain parts of things that we're so acquainted to in our area that are spread around. Like, is it like ketchup chips? Isn't that another
Ketchup
one?
chips, all dressed chips.
All dressed
Yeah.
chips are very
Smarties.
popular, but you
Smarties,
can't
yeah.
find them, in the other area around here.
The crunchy chocolate bar.
Oh, crunchy or crunch?
Crunchy.
Crunchy.
With a toffee in the middle. But that's more of like a British, like we have a lot of British
Yeah,
things.
there's something
that we
about
eat.
being a British.
Like
colony.
Cadbury chocolate is all British. What do you say?
She said Cadbury chocolates or something.
Well,
Cadbury?
what did you say? What did you say?
Something about being a British colony.
Oh. I thought you said Cadbury chocolates.
Wow.
Yeah, my
Okay.
ears were not working. I need to clear
Listen,
those
I've
out.
been sugar free now for a month. I
don't
keep
know.
saying a couple.
I feel like
You keep
we've.
saying it's been several months.
Yeah, and it's not. It's probably been 4 weeks.
It's been a fortnight.
It seems like it's been an eternity though.
It's been longer than 4 weeks, and I know this because I live it. But I feel like I've gotten to the point now where I'm really craving chocolate, and I'm starting to dream about it and taste it in my dreams. Which, last time I gave up sugar, that was immediate. As soon as I gave it up, I was dreaming about it and tasting it in my dreams. Now it's like a month in.
My chocolate's not my vice. Sour candy,
Oh, I like sour candy.
Wait, you were eating those?
sour straws.
Oh man,
I love sour candy.
so hungry right now.
Sour Patch Kids is my
Kill 'em. Yeah.
ultimate favorite.
That's
candy.
the only thing. You know what?
That
else
and
I
a
love?
close second is Skittles.
Sour Skittles. They don't make them
I
anymore.
don't like them.
They're
Yeah,
green.
you can get them. Yeah,
Where?
I don't know. I think I got them at the movie theater like a few months ago.
Okay, but at Imagine Cinemas?
I don't know.
No, it was
Oh,
like
at the real movie theater.
yeah, I think so.
Wild.
I mean, it maybe
like
is
sour
longer
Skittles.
back, but
Sour
I
Skittles
do
will rip your
remember.
tongue apart, and that's the kind of sour candy I like. Warheads mean nothing to me. I could eat them like a cough drop.
But Sour Patch
like
Kids do
sour
the same
candy.
thing.
No, not for me.
If
Yeah,
you
they're
eat
mild.
enough of them,
Mild, nah.
Sour
I
Patch is
remember.
mild.
I had a big bag from Costco one time, and I watched the
still-
whole movie munching on Sour Patch Kids.
wow.
Nothing.
And then afterwards, your
I
whole
s-
mouth was just like raw.
No, nothing.
I still have that big bag
I'm
of
immune.
Sour Patch Kids from Costco, and I've had it for like 6 months, and
I didn't eat the
and
whole
I
bag.
love it.
Do you?
I didn't eat the whole bag.
Well, this I want to go back to this.
Oh dear.
I when there was a period I was my parents were moving, and the house hadn't finished yet, and all of the kids had to kind of relocate for a couple months while the house was being finished, and then we moved back together. And I was staying at my friend's house, and we had bought a big bag of Sour Patch Kids, and his mom was devouring the Sour Patch Kids, and she was like sucking on them, all like not just putting them in her mouth and chewing.
Yeah.
She was sucking, and she ended up like just completely destroying her
Okay,
tongue.
my eyes
Like,
are
it was
watering.
It's
so
really funny because I heard the story
Yeah,
from someone
raw.
else that was in your life at that time.
okay.
And they told me this story when I was a child. And I had this fear about doing that with sour candy.
Oh,
I'll tell you who it was afterwards.
okay.
And so now you eat lots of sour candy?
Well, I don't suck on them because I'm like, I don't want to have a hole
What
in
were
my
those
tongue.
ones called? Fireballs.
Yum.
Oh, I loved
Yeah,
fireballs.
but
as a
fireballs
kid.
aren't sour.
No, I didn't like sour.
There's just something about
Warheads we used to have.
that sweet and sour taste. It's like
Warheads do
it's-
that because warheads have like a sweet middle and the outside is coated in that malic acid.
I want nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you
I
even
love sour.
enjoy that? Like,
I don't know, I love it.
I was eating an apple and it did that the other day.
But I don't
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
you
don't
took a
like
bite
Granny
in, I was
Smith. I don't like Granny Smith apples.
It wasn't
see,
Granny
I like-
Smith.
It was just a bad
It was
apple.
a red apple.
It was a red apple, and I was totally expecting something sweet because I like sweet.
And you got sour.
Took a bite into it. I was like, whoa.
But go to our what is our favorite drink? And we're not talking about your
Lemonade.
not your energy drinks.
Lemonade.
Specifically,
The good pulpy like freshly ground
the
lemonade.
Arnold Palmer
Oh, sweet tea.
sweet, which is a lemonade
Yeah.
and a iced tea.
But like a sweet tea.
So it's
not
a
an iced
sweet
tea.
sour
Yeah. Okay, you're right.
drink. Right?
I've never
So
tasted it before.
It's
very good.
It's great.
It's very good.
That's actually one of my favorite things to do during the summer is if I have. I'll tell you guys one of my secret drinks
Violet
that I
loves
make.
that. There's her
Is-
little cameo.
There you go.
You buy, yeah, she does like the Arnold Palmers.
She doesn't even know
But
it.
she just decided she liked them not too long ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
We've had a box of them down there for.
And then
like,
all of a sudden it was
summer.
empty.
And she's
and I
like,
was like-
I like these, everybody.
Brought them to school every day.
Yes.
Anyways, finish your
Well, I was just going to say that one of my favorite drinks during the summertime is you take one of those frozen lemonade mixes, the ones that come in the can, and then when you mix it, instead of you putting in the full concentration of like all the extra water, like 4 cans of it, you only put in like 3 cans, so it's a stronger concentration. And so you make your lemonade like that, and then you throw in a bunch of ice into a blender, throw in the lemonade mix into it so that now the ice is going to dilute it a little bit.
You've never made me this.
Okay. So now you have what are they called? Like a frozen smoothie type lemonade, which is potent. It's not watered down because nothing's worse than watered down lemonade.
absolutely.
And then what you do to wrap it all up is once it's all in a cup, you take a scoop of Lipton iced tea mix and you throw it on top.
Wild.
And then it starts to just kind of like leak down into the drink, and it's got that perfect flavor
Somebody
of sugar and
sounds-
sour.
Somebody sounds a little high maintenance. I mean, I'm just saying.
Maybe
Well,
high
it's kind of
maintenance,
the
but-
same way that you guys, drink coffee, but I like,
I'm pretty
I like
simple with my
fruity
coffee.
drinks. That's
But he
my
always
thing.
makes he might be high maintenance, but it always comes out like when he
Perfect.
makes popcorn. Oh baby,
It's perfect.
it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Hey, you want to make popcorn later? I'm so
Don't
hungry.
make 2 bowls this time. We have food coming. We have food coming.
Want a donut?
I'm about to get angry right now.
All right, let's go quick.
Okay, let's
then
move on
Pastor
to our-
Sherry. So Pastor Sherry had a good idea for today, where we'll do your thing and then we'll do my thing if we have time.
Okay. So yeah, my question was, what does a typical Sunday morning look like for you?
For each of us.
For each of us, yeah.
Okay. So
Since
do
you
you guys
just
want to
took-
go first? Because I feel like you both have very different views of their Sunday morning.
Yeah, even though we live together and we're married,
You were live together?
Yeah.
What?
we're married. It was so funny the other day.
We're married.
We were talking about our in-ear packs, and I was talking to our sound guy, and I said we didn't have enough packs, so I had to use the one that like mimics another pack. So I was like, he says to me, "What pack do you have?" I said, "Oh, I have the one that mimics Pastor Brian. They're married together." He's like, "We're married," and he just cracked up, and started laughing. But anyways, that was a side note. Sunday morning, typical day is like my alarm goes off at 4, and then I get up and I
At 5.
I get up at 4. Sunday mornings, I get up at 4, and I make a perfect cup of coffee, and I drink it. And then once I'm done drinking my coffee, I get ready for the day. And then I come down to the office, and I turn on my vocal exercises. Yep. And by this point, I've filled up my water cup with...
Nay!
Me, mo, 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 ma, 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 me,
1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1.
1, 2, 18. I'm
Sounds like you guys are
articulating
doing
every
them with
single
me.
word.
Listen, they're great. They work really well. And they're fun. Okay?
For you.
If you want to do fun vocal exercises, let me tell you, I've done other vocal exercises and they're boring and they sound terrible. At least I'm not doing ones that sound terrible. They're actual songs. They may sound like me, me, mama, moo, but they're actual songs. But anyway, so I'll do that, and I'll do that for 45 minutes, and then after 45 minutes, I'm hydrating, and then I'll go through the whole set list and sing through the whole set list at the top of my lungs. It's about 5 o'clock in the morning. And then at 5:45, I will make my rounds, wake everybody up, and get everybody. And then I just start stressing at every moment that people aren't ready. And I sit around and wait for everybody to be ready, pack up everything to go, and I'm just waiting. Get in the car, go to church. We stop by Tim
I was
Hortons
going to
first.
say, the donut run.
Every Sunday morning, donut run. And everybody gets a donut. And then except for me, because I'm sugar-free now. So we go to church, and then 8 o'clock we start setting up. And setting up is like everybody kind of just runs in, has what they need to do, and starts just jumping right to it. I think your first thing that you do is
Cheers.
Turn music on.
turn music on, grabs a speaker, and turns music
we're
on.
gonna do work. You know, you got to work with music.
Okay, so then that would transition into now, Pastor Brian. What does your morning look like?
My morning normally is at that point where Pastor Sherry is getting anxious to start
Wake up
the
at
day.
7:40.
and so that normally means that she sits down at the piano outside the door
Of his bedroom.
and turns up the volume,
Oh my gosh.
and she's just going to start screaming or singing
Why?
as loud as she can in order
Brave.
to make sure that everybody on the main floor is now awake.
I just project my voice when I sing while I'm playing the piano.
Okay, so that's the time that you wake up.
So that's normally the time that I
What time is that normally?
Probably 7:15.
well, it's whatever time that level of urgency for her is. So it could be 6:45, 7 o'clock.
So it's up to you, Pastor Sherry, when he wakes up.
That's great. Then it's going to be 5 o'clock.
So anyway, so it's normally around then I just kind of get ready for the day. What I do sometimes is I pay attention to actually preparing lunch
Yeah, you do.
in the morning for us, because if you do not prepare lunch, one thing that I've realized is that people become hangry after service.
I get really
And they
hungry.
have no ability to be able to wait long enough to actually, cook something after service. So you're either ordering, pretty well, it's like order food if no one prepares food.
I am hungry after church.
Because she doesn't eat in the mornings. So she'll just go to church with coffee in her stomach.
Yes.
On Sunday morning, I'm getting ready. And actually, I was already ready. But I'm walking into the bathroom. I'm brushing my teeth. And my stomach starts growling like really loud. I'm like, oh man, I'm so hungry. Pastor Brian's like, you've been up for 4 hours.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's kind of that. And then, we get to church and we just start doing setup, and I do put the music on first, and then we normally work on stage stuff a little bit, and then as everything's coming along, I have this thing where I like to re-straighten and fix the chairs in the auditorium,
Yeah,
and then I
that's your
use that
job.
time to pray over the seats and different things. But I do like to kind of take my moment. As I'm normally still waking up at that point anyway, so fixing the chairs is kind of what I like to do next before we get into prayer and other parts in the morning.
Yeah?
I set up the stage.
Okay.
You know what I didn't say, though, that I do?
Yeah.
Go over my message in the morning.
Yeah.
I do that.
That
and
your
read my Bible and
Sunday
pray.
starts Saturday night, usually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Depending on what time you guys run.
Sometimes Friday.
Yeah. Well, a lot
Friday's
of times
great, because then I'll have the notes in advance, which is great.
I typically try to start in the morning, like late morning, to go over the message with Pastor Sherry.
On
Yeah.
Saturday.
But most of the time it gets pushed back another hour, then another hour, and then another hour. And sometimes I keep getting pushed back 6, 7, 8 hours on a Saturday. So we try to do it in the morning, but a lot of times it can be late afternoon or evening by the time we end up getting
Generally, it's
through the
between 4 and
message.
6 p.m. that we're going over things.
I know you guys say that it's easier for you to do a message with each other,
Mm-hmm.
but I would find it way more complicated. Because now it's like logistically you have to be in tune with someone else. Which I guess is good you're married.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
But anyway.
I have no problem doing. I actually enjoy doing the messages together, as much as I tease her, about
Whoa.
her
Whoa.
tangents and all that other
Wait,
stuff.
you tease me?
Whoa.
You throw
Oh,
me
wow,
under
surprise,
the
yeah.
bus? What?
That's right.
Well, hey, if anyone's ever
Surprise,
watched any of the
surprise.
messages, I'm sure you guys are aware that Pastor Sherry, just I don't want to say goes off topic, but she goes down off on tangents, and she goes off with what the Holy Spirit is
They're
speaking
called
to her at
rabbit
those moments.
holes.
You have
Rabbit
done.
trails.
You have done so.
I do that occasionally,
As
and here's the
well.
thing is that we want to be able to allow the Holy Spirit
That's
to
right.
minister through us on those avenues. So, even though it may seem like it's not following the notes, you're really following
to
the
say it a
schedule of what
lot.
God's actually doing. So I have no problem with it whatsoever.
I used to
Her-
say a lot, this isn't in the notes.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm getting better at just mentally saying that.
I was gonna say
This
the
isn't
word
notes.
to look out for when Pastor Sherry starts to go to the left. One of two things happen. One, and I'm not being critical. I've been around long enough to know the triggers of what. One, she will usually step away and in front of the pulpit because she's not even looking at her notes anymore. So she's far away from the pulpit. And two, she will say, I find this significant. And then she'll just go. And then usually her voice is more emphasized when she's going off on a tangent.
Like I get louder?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but-
you do the 1-2 slide.
Oh, yeah. My stepping.
and
Boom.
And a lot of times when we're writing, though, like I divvy up the message
He allows
afterwards.
room.
So most of our sections do have, and that's part of when we go through our dry runs and stuff together, that we do kind of identify where we feel there may be more in a section, or maybe there's a God moment in this or something of that sort, so that we can pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And part of the things that I do regularly is when I do realize that there's sometimes like a technical part in the message versus we'll say a highly passionate part. I normally try to take the technical parts, and I normally try to give her the passionate parts, because if I do the passionate part, she wants to jump in anyways and still add to the passion part of it anyways. And normally when you're doing the technical parts,
I miss it all.
you kind of stumble through it a little bit more. So a lot of times that's kind of, where we kind of pay attention a little bit to how certain of those sections
well
fit together as well.
I
So
like
sometimes
working with
maybe I'm doing the technical, I don't want to say a more boring part, but it's just more technical at times.
Are you the boring one?
It's like Pastor Brian
Did
is
you just call me the
the
fun
skeleton
mom?
and Pastor Sherry is the meat.
Yeah.
Well, but Pastor Brian also provides meat.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He
Well-
provides the nervous system and the, musculature.
Well, I just look at it as like whether in the background is that is whoever's delivering the content. It doesn't it's just you're the vessel that's being used at that moment. But Pastor Sherry has a great speech writer here. For the messages. So, anyways, so your
you
morning
around.
routine, what's it look like for you? That's kind of
Well, I have my alarm set for 5:30, and usually if I don't wake up at 5:30, I wake up at 6. But that would just be dependent upon how my Saturday was.
okay.
If I get in bed before 11 on Saturday, I'll be up at 5:30, which is great. So then I'll get ready. I'll make a coffee. I'll make some toast, and I'll make sure I have all of my devices and chargers and stuff in a bag. Get ready, and then I'm out the door. If I can be out the door by 7:20, we're in good shape. And then I aim to be at the Serbian for 7:40,
Wow. 7:20.
and then
40, she said.
She
7:40.
leaves the house.
I'm a single woman
she's
with
single.
no people.
Can you pick me up on Sunday?
I told you this last week. I said if you need me to come earlier to get you, I have no problems because I'll just leave at 7:15. But I have a gift.
do it.
I was telling my roommate this the other day. Not my current room, whatever. I said that I feel like I could wake up and get ready and be out the door in 10 minutes. Like I don't require a lot of
Yeah.
primping. The only
singing
time
warm-ups.
well, I don't sing. So. The only time that it would be annoying for me is if my hair was greasy. Because if my hair is not greasy, then it's fine. But if my hair is greasy, then I'm like, what do I do? Anyway, out the door, and then if everything goes well, I'm the first one there. And then I unlock the back room, I start to pull out things. So the first thing I pull out is like the piano and the black cart thing. Plug in the projector, and then I bring out the carts. And then I start to like, I'm not going to get into everything I plug in and whatever.
Yeah.
But I like media and tech is my.
Yeah, so you pretty much set up media tech.
Yeah.
I set up normally the stage.
Yeah.
And then you work with other volunteers
He
to
does
do
like
the
chairs, volunteers,
platforms.
anything for registration.
Yeah.
Like this week we had cake and coffee, so you were making sure that was all delegated and.
Yeah.
And then the thing that I never really think about is the flags. I always forget that we do these flags because I
yeah.
never see them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's just a lot of moving parts to Sunday mornings. And then we're usually out the door by 12:15, and then that's our Sunday. And then after I go home and I'm unconscious for a couple hours, and then we're good to go.
We were talking about, like, for me, like, this is how we kind of grew up. You know, it was the same thing, like, when the church we were at previously, it was the same thing. You started at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
First one there, last one gone.
Yeah, and there was like a 2-hour kind of setup. It was a lot longer, the setup, and so and then you'd set up the kids areas, all those like extra stuff, and then the service would go on, and then afterwards everyone would hang out for another hour or two after service. Then you would finally go home and eat, and then you'd be back at church again by 5, 6 o'clock, because there was an evening service for 7 to 9, and then you had a cleanup afterwards till 10 o'clock.
Your dad just like amazes me because the amount of times that he preached in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
3 times a week.
And then
that,
he still
minimum.
That was a minimum, and then he still connected with every person. Like he must have the amount of words he must have spoke were innumerable.
And you know what I think about often? You know how old he was when he started the church?
How old?
29 years old.
Wow.
That's baffling to me.
Yeah.
I could not have. But he did everything young. Like he had 3 kids at that age. Like he was,
Yeah.
But yeah, like
but think about that.
He's done a lot.
But that whole generation just worked differently.
Yeah.
Like the amount of volume that that generation pushed out.
Yeah.
Like as I said,
Incredible.
you're right. He was preaching 3 services a week.
Yeah.
He was
minimum,
right? And yes, you had 3 kids,
not including guest speaking.
3 kids
he was doing
running,
that.
Yeah, guest speaking, running the everyday
organization, doing the deliverance, doing the benevolence,
still being able to study and to be able to connect with
write
other
books.
leaders,
He was writing books during all this.
And then nowadays, you ask people, and it's like, well, I have a hard time preaching once a month, or or to do this or this. Like even some, like I remember, like the was it Pastor Brian Danter, even back then at that time, right? Like he was doing park services every Sunday night during the summer. They were doing jail stuff.
He was recording.
They were doing full productions every they did the plays. I remember they were doing.
They did 2 productions a year, I believe.
Yeah.
Did they do like a fall one and then?
So they were doing
Did
just
you remember
the
the
amount
shirts
of
that we used
things
to
that they
have?
did was remarkable.
when we would introduce new songs, we would get a coordinating shirt. So like Heaven is in My Heart, that song.
What?
And it was like different
Seriously?
colors. Different ministries had different colors. And then it was,
No fair. I wasn't around for this part.
You would have loved it.
I would have been an infant at this part.
Yeah, but think about how much even your parents did.
My parents. Well, this is what irritates me. So my parents, every summer, we would do 5. I think 5 was the maximum we hit. 5 parks on a Saturday.
Yeah.
From we would
Every
be out of the door at
Saturday.
7 a.m. We lived in Woodsley, so we would drive in. We would go to the church, get the trailer, and we would do 5 parks every Saturday. And it took about an hour and a half each park. So we weren't done the day until 4:30.
Yep.
And then they have the audacity, because then on top of that, they were running kids' church. I'm pretty sure my dad was heavily involved in Faithville. They were
they're
doing
filming
acting.
community things.
Yeah. And church was Sunday morning twice, right? And then Sunday night.
we would go home. I remember we would go home and we would take a nap.
And then Wednesday
we
night.
would go back for Sunday night. We would be at the church
every day, all day.
Monday nights we'd go home. Tuesday nights was soccer. My dad also started the soccer league.
Yeah.
Wednesday nights we would just stay through for church.
Yeah.
Thursday nights we would go home. Friday nights was youth. So I would usually go home and then they would drive me back in for youth. Saturday
had
was
the
Winter
school.
Circle, and Sunday was
Your mom worked in the school
church.
too.
Yeah. So they, and then they have the audacity to tell me that I work too
That
much.
you're doing too much.
And I say, Mom, Dad,
Can we go over what you did?
pot kettle. And they were young. Like,
Yeah.
they
But
were 25 when they had me. So they would have been in their 30s while they were doing all of
Yeah.
this. So it's crazy.
Like, they just don't make people the way that they used to make
know.
people. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's just, like, nowadays, look at the way that people volunteer. It's like, if you can get someone to volunteer, an hour and a half a month, actually during, or a half hour before a service or during a service, it's like, oh, man, I had to get here 20 minutes early today.
Yeah. I had to be here. I had to be here at 9 instead of 10 or 10:07 when I normally come.
So, and this isn't everybody, but
No,
but
it's
I'm
not.
but I'm just but this was kind of the lifestyle, because don't forget, even though your parents were running those ministries, they were all complemented by volunteers who also
They
did
had
the
a
same
great team.
thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I remember that. Like,
Community.
Yeah.
yeah, and it was a different way, and I feel I'd like to see kind of the church world, migrate back towards some of these different.
Well, I'm starting to see, like Pastor Sherry and I were talking about this a bit this morning, and I feel like I'm starting to see people come alongside of us that think the same way that we do.
Yeah.
Because for so long, I'm like, I'm the weirdo that wants to be here to every church event.
Yeah.
I'm the weirdo that wants to be here early to make sure things are running before, But now there's other weirdos.
Yeah.
And it's so
Same as
great
us.
because it's like they don't see the church as just an obligatory checklist. They see it as I'm going to take personal responsibility for the
mine,
things that
yeah.
God has given us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we need to tend to it, and we need
Yeah.
to see that it's prosperous and grows, and not just in the numbers, but spiritually. I feel like the harvest is ripe, but because we've been at the plow for so long.
Yeah. And I think a lot of this comes down to the way that cultural mindsets have started to kick into the body of Christ. So, I think back in those, we'll call them the golden era age of Christianity in the West anyways, right? People understood that your relationship with God, your relationship with your family, right, were not two separate entities. Okay, it's like God is a part. He's first place in my life, and he's he's in my family. And so when I'm doing things together with my family, I'm doing them with God. And part of being in the body of Christ is also all blended together. And I feel like over the last several decades, right, the body of Christ has kind of segmented these things where it's like kind of like, all right, well, here's my God time, here's my church time, here's my family time, and they can't mix, and it's like I have to have a priority for this and a priority for this, and I'm like, but the reality is that no, they're not just a spoke on a wheel that we go to when it's convenient.
That's right.
It's an overlapping, blended in process, and I think that's kind of where people have missed the concept nowadays. Is that it's part of your whole life. And if God's not part of your whole life, then what are we doing? Because like I said,
Then he's
when
not
I
priority.
hang out at church, I'm not thinking I'm like, I'm not spending time with my family. I'm thinking I am spending time with my family.
I'm here with my family.
I'm here with my
This is
family, and I'm
great.
here with my spiritual family. Even if my actual family wasn't present, I'm like, I'm still here with
we
my
always
family.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I just believe
Poor
that
kids.
these are parts of understanding that it's all meant to be together. It's not meant to be into segments.
And I think it's cool, if you look at the way that it was, even back in the 90s, all of our parents were digging the well. They were all looking for oil. All of our parents were trudging and working and building.
Yeah.
And the fact that we got dragged along in this process
Prepared
put
us.
us with that mentality
Yeah.
of, no, there's more that can be done. There's more that we can do. And it doesn't intimidate us. Sometimes it's scary to see the big picture, but it doesn't scare us when we have to do the work because we understand that what the work is for and why we're even doing it, right? So we've been raised to think, how can we do more?
Yeah.
What can we do? What can we carry?
I remember during COVID, everything shut down, and we were running young adults at that point. We had to do something.
I was
and it's
gone at this point.
Yeah, you were gone. But I was like I only work 2 days a week. But I'm like, I don't care how many days I actually work.
Yeah.
We've got to reach the people, and we've got to do what's needed. And so my days were filled.
Full.
Well, Is there much difference now?
Not at all. No, yeah, technically
It's
I
just a
only,
training
I only
ground.
technically work part-time. But I mean, I don't sit here and go, oh, I've already worked. I don't know how many hours I get paid,
Yeah,
but
it's like, I'm
I've
done.
already worked my part-time hours,
Yeah.
so I can't do this or I can't do that. No, I'm like, wait a second, this needs to be done. Okay, I'm already in bed. Grab my iPad.
Yeah.
Let's just open this up and let's just do this right now. And it's just life.
Yeah.
It's part of who I am. So why would I nitpick on whether I should or shouldn't?
Well, it's because it's life,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Understanding that this is life, right? When you're a Christian, your life is geared around those elements, right? It's part of participating in the kingdom of God and building the kingdom of God. And so I don't like. I mean, like I know sometimes, like people talk to me and it's like, oh, you're always talking about this or that or or something related to church or something related to building, and I'm just like,
That's part of life.
That's what I do.
It's not work.
who
It's
I
not
am.
work to
Yeah.
me. It's just
It's
this
life.
is who I am as in life and as a Christian, as a believer, and whether I was employed or not, I was doing this 30 years ago when I wasn't employed.
That's right.
It was
just-
exciting to
yeah.
be in the kingdom of God, and
And it still is very exciting. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine my life without all of this. Like without the church, without people, without all of the things. Like life would be so boring.
I
empty.
always think about this when everything was starting with I-9 and like we were just kind of getting like I wasn't even here yet. I heard someone say one time like, well, of course they're like I-9 is going to be birthed. Of course it's going to happen because you can't ask a chef to not cook.
Yeah.
So it's
Yes.
like you can't ask people who have a heart to build not to build,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
of course if we weren't building at I-9 we'd be building somewhere else.
Yeah, wherever.
But we are at I-9 and that's where we've been called to build. And I love that.
I love it too.
I think we probably should take a turn to wrap up.
Yeah, and we'll have to do your idea next
I did have a good idea.
You
Should I
had a
do a
really good-
teaser?
Yeah, do a teaser.
And then you can just give us a quick summary of what Sunday is going to look like.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that what we could do is talk about what advice would we give ourselves at 5 years old, at, what did I say, 10 years old,
Yeah.
and 20 years old.
Yeah.
Because we've all hit that age. I thought, because at each one of those ages are very different, and then we can talk about
I think you
what
should
our
add in there
childhood-
20 and 25.
I was thinking that. Like, I could talk to my 25-year-old self and give her the what for.
Yeah, because like my 25-year self would probably be the same as like Pastor Sherry had her 17-year-old self or 18-year-old self. So
Wait, my 25-year-old
Pastor Sherry's
self?
25-year-old self is, Pastor Sherry's 15-year-old self, don't worry, you're going to marry him. Don't worry.
Not 15, it was 17.
17.
But no, yeah, like my 25-year-old self, I was in a much different space than your 25-year-old self.
yeah, right. Because I was still single at 25. You were married at that point and
And
had
I
two
just
kids.
had a baby. No, I had
Or
one.
one. No, you had two kids at that time.
25? I had Violet when I was 24. And then I turned 25 3 months later. No, you don't think so?
I don't know, I wasn't there.
I was born in 1981. Violet was
I was born in the year.
1900.
In 2006, she was born.
Yeah.
Math. Go. Math.
So you were.
So we're going to talk about this next week.
24 turning 25.
All right.
That's the only time I could do math in my head.
It's not like having a baby is a big deal.
Do you know
or
why I
anything.
know this? Let me tell you why it's ingrained in my head. Because when I turned 25, Pastor Brian threw me a surprise birthday party. Party.
I did. I've thrown a few surprise birthday parties for you.
And for anybody who knows me, knows I do not like surprises.
I
at
don't
all.
like
I don't like.
surprise.
I don't do morning. I don't like surprises. But anyways, he threw me a pool party.
I do think that's adorable because
It was so cute
you have
because
December birthday.
I have a December birthday and everybody always had pool parties and I always talked about how I never you guys are silly.
Had a pool party.
I never had a pool party, and so for my 25th birthday party, he threw a surprise pool party, and he didn't tell me, and I didn't know. I was completely surprised. I had just had Violet. I did not have a bathing suit, and somehow he was able to find the one bathing suit that did actually fit me after having a baby, and it was great. It was he didn't even warn me to shave my legs.
Good job, bro.
I planned it all out. It all worked.
It was incredible. We had a great
So this
time.
is how
hasn't
she
forgiven you.
remembers that she was turning 25.
But that's why I remember.
That was the last time he threw Pastor Sherry a surprise.
No, was it?
Oh no, I threw a few. Actually, on a side journey in here for her 30th birthday. What was even funnier about her 30th
planned the whole thing.
is I had her plan this
Your 40th
whole
was fun.
party, this whole karaoke party with her friend, and then, but we all knew on the other side of it that this karaoke party was for her surprise 30th birthday party. And all of a sudden, it dawned on her when she got there.
No.
We had everybody. What's that?
It was not when I got there. I got there and I'm in the kitchen and I'm like, what do we need to do? Is everything downstairs? And my friend was like, everything's good. You just go downstairs. I'm like, no, I'll help you here in the kitchen. Like, we're doing this together, you know? And she's like, no, you go downstairs. So I literally stayed upstairs for like 10 minutes. Everybody's waiting super quiet in the
Downstairs?
basement. Yeah. So finally I walk down to the basement. She gives me something. She's like, here, take this downstairs. And so I'm carrying this tray downstairs and I get to the bottom of the stairs and everybody's like, surprise. And I turn around and I'm like, who are we surprising? They're like, you, silly. It's your 30th.
And we're like, we got you again.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I literally planned this whole thing.
Now that's the way
Got
to
him.
throw a surprise party.
Yeah.
All right, so
fun, though.
you want to transition to
Thank
Sunday.
you for being a friend. Yeah.
What are we doing Sunday?
Sunday.
Church.
We're doing church.
Yeah.
And this week we are. I think the message is called "Prepare for War." I have like 2 or 3 other
Prepare? We've done
titles.
that?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I know. So I have 2 or 3 other titles, so it may not end up being.
Preparation W. That just came to me. I'm so creative.
I do think I have a couple other titles into the actual title, so we can figure that out. But anyways, we're going to be talking a little bit more on spiritual warfare and getting more specifically putting your armor on.
Armor.
And I think we're going to make it into a two parts.
Are we?
Yeah, I'm trying to write it in a way that I believe, it's going to end up being kind of 2 parts. So this week
You
will
might
be
need
more
to
on
make it
the
3 or 4.
introductory.
Do you want me to bring the
side.
armor, the man of God, back to church? I have it in my room still.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, by
He's
the way,
thinking about it.
I'm just going to warn you now. This is a topic that I'm extremely passionate about.
That's why I think that I'm probably going to make it into 2 weeks. But there's a couple gaps in there too because we have another service, so it may take a week or 2 to wrap
Another
it all
service.
up.
We have kids' child dedication on the following Sunday.
Yes. So then it may end up then being the following week afterwards. We finish it up, but anyways, we'll be writing that anyways. But I think it's really exciting, nonetheless. It's been coming up a lot, the armor of God, and I do believe that this is kind of stuff that people that just are not aware of all the
Significant.
time is getting into putting the armor on and being
Yeah.
protected and being prepared for and realizing you're in a spiritual war, and it's just like
Yeah.
so a lot of times it's kind of like a basic fundamental thing, but I think it's just something that just constantly gets tossed aside.
Yeah.
I think there's times in my life I do the same thing where I'm just like, oh, I didn't remember to put my armor on today. I didn't
Yeah.
remember to blah 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 blah, and I think that's just part of where we're at.
I think it's cool too when none of us really communicate with what we're planning for our ministries. And I just taught on the armor of God on Friday, and this whole month is about the spiritual battle.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool how everything's in tangent with each other.
You should
Is
call
kids'
it.
church too right now? What's kids' church on?
I don't know, but I know that prayer we just prayed on that on Monday night, right? Which was
Was
the
armor of God? Yeah. It's just all lining up, and we've prayed like we did the prayer. Like you scheduled that months ago. So
Yeah.
just the fact that everything's clicking is just really
that's
cool.
really cool.
Because
It's not
because I
coincidental.
did originally have a different type of a message. I was wanted to kind of go into family stuff, typically in September, and I was just like, I just don't feel like
Didn't
I
feel-
want to kind of bring this message in that direction. I feel it
Yeah.
needs to be more on the spiritual side of
You should call
the
it
armor.
bulletproof.
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 So
I like it.
she hasn't even looked at the message.
Oh, I know what I'm preaching. Let me just tell you that.
Wow.
All right,
Sizzle
so
burn.
I got the
we'll
message
find
in
out
here.
on Saturday night what the message title is going to be.
Hopefully not.
No.
Someone has to make
Why
a service
Saturday
title.
night?
No, I know, but everyone who's online watching. Is
Oh,
gonna
you
be
guys
Like, oh,
will.
you'll see.
Saturday at noon is when they goes up.
Yeah, okay. Stay tuned. Saturday at noon.
12 p.m.
All right, it's about 10 seconds from me needing some food. So
I have to go pick it up.
Are we going to end with Light the Passion Within You?
Light the passion
within
within
you.